Hey, this is actually the second time I'm recording this. Determination, Capricorn, right? So, someone with a Capricorn rising is going to be someone that comes off as really serious and reserved. They're probably dress formally a lot of the time, or similar to Taurus rising in a way that's really practical. This kind of person isn't the kind of person mind wearing a business suit all day, or uncomfortable shoes or heels, or little, what are those things called, on your tie and watches. Like, they're not gonna mind dressing up, especially for a profession. They like that kind of vibe. They want to seem professional and put together, and like their lives are fine and sturdy and stable, and that's what they project to everybody else. This person's gonna seem really consistent and stable. They probably have the same haircut since forever, and they probably look pretty much the same every day, or have a similar way that they dress every day, because they are consistent. And that's what's comfortable to them, and that's what they bring to the table. They might come off as a little bit cold and stern at times, and this is because Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer. And where Cancer's like, oh my God, I'm feeling all these emotions. Everyone, hey, I'm feeling all these emotions. Look at me. Capricorn's like, hey, I'm feeling all these emotions. I have to make sure that nobody else sees that. And I have to deal with that in my own time, and I've still got to put this front up. So it's a completely different experience. It's not that they're non-emotional, they're just not vulnerable about it, and they don't want people to see that aspect of themselves, because it would kind of crumble down this persona that they have, which makes them comfortable because it's safe. And they know it. And emotions are really messy, and Capricorn does not like to be messy. So it can be really hard at times for someone with this rising sign to navigate socially, because they're really serious and reserved and introverted, and they don't like showing their emotions. So no one's really gonna approach them. They're also really intimidating. Capricorns can be incredibly piercing and like sexy and intimidating, and you don't really want to approach them, and they can be scary. So unfortunately for you, if this is your rising sign, you might have a lot of difficulty meeting people, or finding people that can really be a good match for you. You might have a lot of superficial relationships or acquaintances, that kind of a thing. It's so much easier for you if you can be in an environment where you repetitively have to encounter the same people, because eventually they'll get past that and see all the other aspects of your chart. Not that someone couldn't be initially attracted to a Capricorn rising, it's just a difficult thing. But if you are in a situation like work or a class, or you go to group meetings where you see the same people all of the time, you're gonna be able to show other sides of yourself besides just your rising sign, and that'll make you more relatable and a little bit more human. It's definitely a difficult sign to have as your rising sign, because Capricorn's really intense and it can be off-putting, and to have that right at the forefront and how you interact with everyone, it's difficult. You're gonna come off as really strict, and you like, maybe you have a stick up your ass kind of a thing. Like, you're the kind of person that has a really hard time just letting go and having fun, because it involves possible imbalance. And these all sound like really negative things, like that maybe you're a wet blanket or something, but that's not true. Capricorn has a really good sense of humor. It's just a dry sense of humor. And you're gonna find ways to relate to people. You're really strong, you're really stable, and you're really grounding. And the people that are constantly going crazy and everything are gonna just want a hug from you and just to be around you. You're so supportive and comforting and nurturing. Not quite nurturing in the sense of Cancer, where you give a lot of emotional support, but you give a lot of like physical, financial support. Like, you're the kind of partner that will pay all the bills and make sure your children are okay and take the car to the mechanic and fix what's wrong with the house. Like, you will do what is needed to get done. You're always reliable. You're incredibly hardworking. And Capricorn Rising is great for a professional career. Like, you're gonna do what you need to get done, and you're gonna do it every time perfectly. That's how you want to be, and you like rising to the top. And you do all of this, you shove your emotions aside for a minute because you see the bigger picture of things. You think, well, look, I could take a personal day and blow off some steam and maybe have a little fun and relax, or I could work really hard, make that extra money, invest it in something so my kids can go to college, blah, 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 blah. Like, you put away all of the fun and emotional parts of life because you want to build a strong foundation for the future, and you want to be able to retire knowing you've done everything possible that you can for yourself and others. So it's really admirable. Like, if you know a Capricorn Rising, give them a break. They're probably exhausted, but they will never let you know that. They're probably way overscheduled, way overbooked. And that's just how they're gonna be. You know, they work so hard for this earth. They work so hard for this planet, and they just want to be a good person, and they're very humble. This person could work a 14-hour shift, and you could be like, damn, thanks. And they'd be like, well, that person worked just as hard as me, whatever, I'm going home, we're all human, you know? Yeah. You can. Sorry. Anyway, so also these people probably have a lot of wealth, and they might flaunt it. They might have like a Rolex, or wear really nice clothes, or have a really nice car. Not necessarily always, but Capricorn tends to have a lot of resources at its disposal. So you might have been born into a pretty privileged family or situation. You might have inherited a lot of things, or most likely on top of that, you probably worked really hard to get what you have, and you're proud of it, and it's just part of your rising sign. It's just kind of, it comes off of you. Like, people know that you're successful. Especially this person later in life, you should be really successful. If you're not, I'm sorry. That sounds so horrible. But chances are that with this rising sign, you're incredibly successful. You might even have your own business. People probably know who you are. You've made a name for yourself. You've got a nice house. Like, it might seem like a very difficult rising sign socially, and it definitely is. But in terms of having physical safety and security and having a good work life, you've definitely got all that in the bag, like ahead of everyone else. So try to take everything with a grain of salt. Capricorn is a tough sign. It is a tough sign. It's like the military leader, it's the businessman, it's the patriarchy, and that kind of energy isn't bad at all. But unfortunately, it's being so overdone right now on like a global scale that when you hear these things, it's just really triggering, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to be that. Because everyone's kind of mad at that right now. Everyone's kind of mad at big business and money and logic and the government and big structures, because Capricorn rules all those kind of things. So it's not really the archetype's fault, it's the culture's fault. So just give yourself a break. You bring a lot of balance and a lot of power. You definitely have a stance. You have a presence. When you walk into the room, you're just, you know, it comes off of you, and you're incredibly powerful, and you can pretty much get what you want. You know that if you work really hard and put in effort, that things will just happen to you. And keep in mind that none of the things that I'm saying might resonate with you on a conscious level, because the rising sign is just kind of subconscious for you. It's what everyone else picks up on immediately, but you might not always be aware of. But listening to it, hopefully some of the things make sense to you. You're probably really earthy. You might have calloused hands, and your body might hurt from years and years of work as you get older. But you probably have a really strong constitution and keep relatively healthy. You're kind of stubborn and not one to go to the doctor and feel like you can take care of yourself. And for the most part, that's true, as long as you really do. I'm like that too. I don't know. That's probably my Leo for different reasons. But what else do I want to say here? You probably really like to interact with reality with your hands. Like, you're a very hands-on person. If someone's trying to describe to you how a car works, you want to like get in there and take apart the engine and get grease all over yourself and put it back together and work hard. And that's how you're gonna learn things. That's how you relate to your experience, is by like physically manipulating it. So you probably really like building and constructing things and fidgeting things and having certain objects around that you feel comfortable to you when you're able to hold them. And you really feel the world a lot through your feet also. You're very grounded and you really love being outside as much as possible. Though ultimately you're rooted in your soul, so it doesn't really matter where you are. These dogs. Yeah, I feel like I've said a good amount about Capricorn Rising. It's not the easiest rising, sorry. If you know someone that's a Capricorn Rising, try to get them to soften up a little bit and to laugh and relax, or help them out. Like, do some of their work for them. Go and do a bunch of errands and surprise them, or cook them dinner or something. Like, they'll really love that. And if you are one, learn to let other people help you and learn to not be so hard on yourself. And you can't be a perfectionist all the time, but you've accomplished a lot. Capricorn thrives on reflecting in gratitude over what it has accomplished. So if you're ever feeling like bad, just look at all the things that you have done, and don't fret about the stuff that you haven't yet. All right, I think that's been all the rising signs, so I'm gonna try and put these in a playlist. I hope you guys have enjoyed these. I hope they're all pretty good. I can always redo these. I'm really just freestyling. If you're interested in having your birth chart done by me, I'll put my email in the description, and I will also put a link to my monthly forecast that I've been doing. I only have November's up right now. It just kind of started, but I have like a really detailed description, like I just did for one house and one sign. I'll do it for everything that's happening in November with all of the planets and stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning more about astrology, please check that out. Peace and love.